These days, it's hard for older games to compete with the likes of graphically superior new releases. With the speed that technology is changing the status quo, games that were once visually groundbreaking are now lacking compared to the epics released in the past few years. I mean, how can you compete with something as stunning as GTA 5? Well, the answer to keep sales pumping is to remaster, a trend that several game publishers have hopped on, including the likes of Capcom. The company has remastered many of their classics in the past several years. Despite criticism that the company should focus on new games rather than old, there's still a slew of games that fans of Capcom would love to see remastered. So today we're counting down some of those picks with our top 10 video games Capcom needs to remaster. At number 10, Killer 7. Starting off this list, we've got some potential positive news. This number just may be remastered in the near future. Unless you're watching this video in the future, in which case, if it's remastered, that's pretty dope. Anywho, Killer 7 was an FPS game that came out in 2005, and follows an elite group of assassins who perform hits on behalf of the US government. Throughout the plot, the group uncovers a conspiracy regarding the role of Japan in the US politics. Its developers Grasshopper Manufacture let it slip during the studio's 20th anniversary event that there may be an updated version of the game coming in the near future. This was later confirmed again when Grasshopper's founder, Suda51, tweeted out that it'd be realized within 10 years. Up next, number 9, Power Stone. While it may not be Capcom's most memorable fighting game, Power Stone is still a beloved entry on this list, and even had its own anime show back in 1999. A 3D arena fighting game, Power Stone is set in the 19th century, and is your typical fighting game with a bit of a twist. Power Stones appear in the arena during your fights, and if you collect 3 of them, you transform into a more powerful version of your character. There's been a lot of talk online about getting a remastered Power Stone game, but also a lot of disdain for the possibility of the game being loaded up with in-game purchases. A remake of the game was released for the PSP back in 2006 called Power Stone Collection, and featured a slightly updated version of the game with characters introduced in its 2000 sequel. Up next, number 8, Little Nemo the Dream Master. Little Nemo the Dream Master, also known as Pajama Hero Nemo, is based on the animated film Little Nemo Adventures in Slumberland, which is based on the stellar Little Nemo comic strip by Winsor McCay that ran from 1905 to 1926. For any comic fans out there, this strip was important in shaping a lot of the more surrealist comics that succeeded it. The game, released in 1990 for the NES, is one of Capcom's most underrated games. A side-scrolling platformer, it captured the creative and imaginative nature of Little Nemo and his world, and allowed you to take the powers of the enemies you had defeated, all by putting them to sleep and then climbing inside their body. And at 7, Asura's Wrath. The concept behind Asura's Wrath is pretty darn cool. You play as Asura, a demigod who seeks revenge on the other demigods out there who have betrayed him. The game bounces between third-person combat and interactive sequences, where the player is presented with quick-time event button prompts, making the gameplay like an interactive anime. The way the plot progressed forward was also praised, opting out to have more precise levels with less unnecessary hordes of enemies. But that still didn't stop critics. Some felt that there was too much reliance on the quick-time events. And at number 6, Ghost Trick Phantom Detective. Released in 2010, Ghost Trick Phantom Detective is an adventure game for the Nintendo DS and iOS. You play as Sissel, a ghost who is trying to figure out who killed him. Traveling between Ghost World and the Land of the Living, you need to solve a bunch of puzzles in order to progress, and perform ghost tricks that can animate objects, open new paths, or influence the characters around them. Those hoping for a remastered version of this game also have their fingers crossed that the game will appear on other platforms too. Up next at 5, Onimusha. The first game of the Onimusha series was released in January of 2001, and makes use of characters that are historic figures from Japanese history. It's Capcom's 7th biggest franchise as of 2017, selling over 8 million copies. So why hasn't it been remastered? When a fan asked on Twitter whether Capcom was considering remastering the game, they responded with, "Thank you, we want to make lots of games. Unfortunately, the development staff is limited." Now, while that's by no means a no, considering that Capcom is revamping all of their other major series, it wouldn't be a surprise if any work on Onimusha didn't occur until a few years down the road. Up next, number 4, Viewtiful Joe. A side-scrolling beat-em-up game, Viewtiful Joe has quite the cult following. Released for the GameCube and PS2 back in 2003, players take the role of Joe, an avid moviegoer whose girlfriend is kidnapped by a villainous group during a viewing of a movie featuring his favorite superhero. Joe is then thrust into Movieland, where he takes on the persona of Viewtiful Joe, and goes on a journey to save her. It seems unlikely that the game will get that remastered treatment anytime soon though. Back in 2004, Capcom registered the domain viewtifuljoe3.com, spawning rumors of another sequel, but later in 2007 they dissolved the subsidiaries, and in 2009 Capcom stated that they had no plans to continue the series. In our next spot at number 3, Lost Planet Trilogy. Lost Planet is a third-person shooter that takes place on Eden 3, a planet in the process of an ice age, and you must survive and fight off alien creatures. After Earth's conditions became too hostile, the aim was was to colonize Eden. But the aliens that inhabit it, the Acrid, are pretty volatile and violent. That led to a war between them and the humans. You play as Wayne Holden, a snow pirate who is trying to overthrow the corporation trying to colonize the planet 150 years after the war. There was actually a petition online in 2016 that pushed for the series to be remastered around the first game's 10th year anniversary, but sadly it didn't really go anywhere. Coming in at our number 2 spot, Resident Evil Outbreak. With the news that Capcom is remastering other titles in the Resident Evil franchise, fans have begun to really want to see another Resident Evil series be revamped. Outbreak. The first Outbreak game was released in 2003 and was set a couple days after the initial outbreak of the T-virus in Raccoon City. You're part of a group of 8 individuals who realize what's happened when a zombie breaks into the bar that you're all at and attacks one of the employees. You then have to make it out of the city alive. You get to play as one of those 8 characters, in either a solo gameplay mode or multiplayer online. The game was praised by critics but didn't feature voice chat, which at times made the multiplayer mode a bit difficult. The servers for the game were shut down in 2007 internationally and in Japan in 2011, although private servers in Japan went live again back in 2014. Finally, in our number 1 spot, Dino Crisis. Dino Crisis is a series that had its first installment released in 1999. A survival horror action adventure, the series follows multiple characters and their lives during outbreaks that take place on isolated locations. These outbreaks feature the likes of deadly dinosaurs and other creatures. The first game takes place in 2009 on a fictional island, the second in a time-transported city, and the third in the year 2548. Back in 2007, Capcom tweeted out a response to a question concerning Dino Crisis, saying that if a lot of people wish, they would potentially remaster it, or pump out another sequel. The last of Dino Crisis that we saw was 15 years ago, with the third installment of the series. Alright, there we have it friends. Which of these games would you like to see remastered the most? And is there a game that we should have included on this list? Let us know what you think in those comments below. Now if you dug this video, please show some love by hitting those like and subscribe buttons if you haven't already. And definitely check out our channel for more gaming videos, including the ones in the playlist that we currently have flashing on your screen. In the meantime, thanks for watching everybody. Catch you all in the next one.